What I would plan to do would be to use whatever power and tools are available to me to make their lives and their families better. We obviously have got it very good here in Williamson County. It's a place that already is a wonderful community. It can be better, and some of the things that you've touched on are things that can be improved upon. We've got obviously a community that's growing, and that growth has to be properly managed. There has to be appropriate study done to make sure that infrastructure is put in place to handle traffic, infrastructure is put in place to handle water runoff, storm, sewer systems have to be properly designed and laid out. And all of that goes beyond just the territorial boundaries of Williamson County, because whenever there is growth in an area as large as Middle Tennessee, growth in one community affects growth in another. And so when I think about potential of being a state representative, it's to make the lives of those around us better. That's really what the calling is. And that can be done, I think, on a number of different levels. There's the local level, where we're talking about things like schools and making sure that the curriculum is what it needs to be, and that we get away from this lurching more recently to putting into schools curricula, study, and ideals that are not only inconsistent with the values of the community, but really have nothing to do with educating a child in the first place. And how you get to school, the roads, the water systems, the sewer systems that power these thriving communities are all things that have to be done on a local level. On a state level, it's really a question there about providing adequate funding for the local governments, because obviously all local governments are a creature of state law. The Tennessee Constitution creates the state government and gives to the legislature the ability to create smaller governmental units, counties, municipalities, cities, towns, other types of local jurisdictions. And then, as I mentioned, there's even a broader area in which families can be helped. In addition to local and the state level, we need to do something about the overreach of the federal government, because there's no way of escaping the fact that no matter how successful we are locally and are at the local level and at the state level, unless something can be done to not just stop, but reverse the power grab that's gone to Washington over the last 250 years, our children and grandchildren are not going to be able to have and live the American dream that way that we have for all of our adult lives and even when we were children. Our country is built on principles of liberty and freedom, and one of them is that government is good. It is a good, but it needs to be limited. The government has certain essential roles that only it can fill. Things like keeping its citizens alive and free, protecting us from enemies, both domestic and international. That is something that our government should be doing, frankly not doing as well now as it could be. And beyond that, the government does exist and should exist to help those in need. One thing that we've obviously seen over the last almost 50 years now is the government not protecting the rights of the unborn the way that it should have. And the government plays an important role in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. At the top of that list, obviously, are unborn children who look to others, not just for their freedom and liberty, but for their very existence. And then we have other members of the community who are, in some respects, disabled. And I think government should exist to help those who are not able to help themselves. We need to do more, not less, for disabled children, disabled adults, in making sure that we've got the American dream that's available to be pursued by everyone. And those who have physical or other disabilities and challenges need to see liberty and freedom, sometimes with the assistance of the government. But when you put aside the unborn, the disabled, those who actually need government help, the role of government for the rest of us, which is most of us, is just to get out of the way, because the government doesn't create jobs. The government doesn't create an economy. The government is sometimes, frankly, the regulator that imposes its will and reduces the economy, and reduces the liberties and freedoms that we all have a right to enjoy. So, my essential view of government is that it is a good. It's there to protect the unborn, those who need it, the disabled. But for the rest of us, its job is just to stay out of the way. And part of what I would try to do is to keep government away from the liberties and rights that are essential to a free people in our society. There are three things that we need. First is prayer, because that is the most helpful weapon that we all have to improve our lives and our families' lives. It's even more important than a vote. As strange as it might hear someone who's running for office saying that. The first thing we need is your prayers, because this is something of a daunting task, because all of us who are offering ourselves up for public office have got our own private lives and our own businesses and our own employees that we're responsible for. And all of that is already a full-time job and then some. And then putting on the responsibilities of a public officer make it even more challenging. It can't be done alone. It's frankly to be done well beyond the capacity of any single human person. So the first thing we need are prayers. Secondly, we need folks to become involved and to be active, because this is not something that we can do on our own, nor is it something that we should do on our own. This campaign is not just about one person. It's not about one resume. It's not about one family. It's about all of us. It's about all of our families. And the more families we have involved who are interested in supporting a campaign that fundamentally is their campaign, the better. And then third, when it comes to Election Day on August the 4th, we'll need their vote because in order to be successful and to do anything, to accomplish any of these goals that we're talking about, we need folks to show up at the polls and vote for our campaign, to vote for the candidacy that we've offered, because it really is a vote for themselves. It's a vote for families. It's a vote for the unborn. It's a vote for all of those who hold dear the ideals upon which our country was founded. When you go to the polls on August the 4th, if you pull the lever for Gino Bulso, you're going to be pulling a lever for yourself, for your ideals, for your family. And with the grace of God, we'll be able to do some good.